The following has been brought to you by RockSolidFanClub.ca.
Only 100 of these shirts are going to be made. They're all going to be signed by me. The first 25 will get a personalized video.
I mean, it says it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, one of the true legends of the world of combat sports. You don't get a chance to say this very often, but when you say pioneers in combat sports, not just MMA, Bradie, not just the UFC. No, we're talking K1, we're talking Pride, we're talking Vale Tudo, which I want to ask about that because that's nuts, if you know what I mean. I am talking with none other than Big Daddy Gary Goodridge, Canada's hero of heroes, joining us here on The Law. Gary, thank you so much, first and foremost, for taking out just a little chunk of your ever so busy schedule. We appreciate it so much. How are you doing today, sir?
Glad to be on. I'm doing great. What did I tell you about that stuff?
It's a habit of mine. It's a habit of mine. All right, Gary, let's get right down to this. I've got a question for you. There's always been rumors swirling around, and I need to have confirmation of this stuff. You spent a lot of time in Japan, yes. A career that unbelievable. But we always saw, and I always heard rumors when they give you those flowers in the ring during those fights. Are these flowers full of envelopes of cash? Yes or no?
No.
Damn it.
We had a theory, Gary. We had a theory that they were just full of Yakuza money or something.
No. What they do is they give you the stuff in the ring, and then you go back and then you get your money. But yes, it's always cash. So always. If you fought for, what's that?
It's always cash.
Always cash. Because here's the thing: if you fought for checks, when you got your check and you went back home, there's something wrong. Who do you go to?
Right.
And so right off the bat, when they called me to do the UFC, I made sure, sorry, not the UFC, Pride, I made sure that was cash. I said, everybody's going to go with cash because that was one of the first moves they called. So people are going to want cash.
Now, do you think a lot of that, because, I mean, obviously everybody knows, anybody who follows MMA, anybody who follows combat sports knows the lore of Gary Goodridge and what it was, the fight, Paul Herrera fight that made you a worldwide name instantly. Did you have any ideas whatsoever that it had blown up to the level that it did for you after it had happened?
After it happened, see, at the time we didn't know if this was going anywhere. It was like this tournament end, and we thought it was ending because, as you know, the fight was not supposed to be in Puerto Rico. It was supposed to be somewhere else. They had to move it in the middle of the night somewhere else, and that's how the things were going on. So no states were allowing this to happen because they thought it was human cockfighting. So did I realize it would be something big? No, it's something that came up the night before the event. Did I realize? No, I thought it was just I need to beat this guy.
Yeah, because you talk about, I know you've talked about this in your book, how, word had gotten out that they were planning to shoot this double. You had no mixed martial arts, no formal training. I mean, there really wasn't even a thing. It was never really called mixed martial arts until after this UFC stuff or whatever. But you just came from a world of working bars and street fighting and arm wrestling and just being this super athletic, ginormous man.
Yeah. You see, back then they called it an NHB, no holds barred.
Correct.
For MMA. But yeah, it was just great. It just happened at the right time. At the time I was trying to get into tough man competition. If you remember way back when, they give you some big gloves and threw you in the ring with whoever. And you were winning $50,000 if you beat up a few guys at night. And I was training for that. I thought, hey, that's what I'm going to do. But it didn't turn out that way.
It's funny you mentioned that because I can remember when I was a kid watching on TV one time. It was one of these doorman competitions, right? One of these bouncer competitions. I think it was on like CBS, ABC, Wild World of Sports or something like that. And Mr. T was in it. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember this or not, right? And they had to like rush through this bar and break down this door to say, and it was just like, what is going on now, right? So, what's that?
Is that the one where they were tossing midgets?
Oh, they might have been, now
Yeah,
that
I think they were. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, those days, good times.
After American Gladiators, it just went nuts in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Gary, what's your fondest memory of Japan?
My fondest memory of Japan was the Japan oh man, what do you call it? Disney World. I went to Disney World and I really enjoyed Disney World when I was there. It was because I went to Disney World in Florida, but when you go to Japan, it's the same thing but Japanese. It was quite different.
Are the rides built smaller so you feel bigger?
It is a
Now, Gary, I know if anybody watching has never heard you answer this before, I know you've people have asked you this question, and it's probably been asked a million times. But it's to me because you were a tough man. Sorry.
All right, so hang on a minute. The small going back to the question.
Oh,
The only small Japanese people there are over here. Over there, they're big, giant guys.
really?
I'm telling you, they only send the small people here. I've seen Japanese 6'5", 6'6", 6'9", big guys. Like the only small ones are here.
I wonder if that's why pro wrestling is so big there.
Yes.
Everybody's big.
So
everybody's big.
So that begs a question then, Gary. How come you never got into pro wrestling?
Yeah.
I was supposed to get into this pro wrestling. I did some bouts in Japan. Me, Don Fry, and Mark Coleman, we did some bouts over there, but it fizzled out, never went anywhere. Nobody asked me, and I didn't ask anyone. I was hoping somebody would ask me, but that never happened.
Well, speaking of Dan Henderson and tough guys, this will lead me back to the question I was going to ask you. If nobody knows this question, our listeners, I just want to know who was your toughest opponent, because you were a tough man, and people knew that the very first fight that I seen you in UFC, the Hellbows, as they're famously called now, but you were the toughest guy ever, and I could only imagine who you would say is your toughest opponent or the toughest guy that you got in the actual ring with, or even maybe in sparring or training that it wasn't an actual televised fight. Who is the toughest guy that you think you were been around and kind of went back and forth with?
The absolutely toughest guy I ever met was the guy that was looking at me in the mirror every morning. Simply because you got to change yourself, constantly evolve in what you want to do and what you want to be. So you have to put yourself and make yourself believe that you're the toughest person. You have to prove it every day to yourself. So it was just yourself. You just had the mirror, the guy looking back at you. He had to be tough. So you had to make him tough. You had to build calluses on things in your mind about being tough. So therefore, you're always seeking that. You're always, but especially me. I came from a house with 5 girls and me. So it was I was always chasing the tough attitude because I had 5 sisters and me living in the house. So it was always tough for me. I was known as a sissy, and to get out of that sissy thing, I wanted to go in the tough man competition just to show everyone I'm not a sissy. But the absolutely toughest guy would have been me, looking at myself in the mirror. I had to overcome a lot, and I did it. Here I am.
100%. And I can only imagine, because I know what it's like. Like, I have a brother, but I have a lot of cousins, and I have a lot of female cousins. My family's very tight. So if something goes south, and I'm the oldest too, so it was always up to me to make sure that it was handled appropriately. And I can only imagine 5 sisters, bro. Holy smokes, right? And you got to
Yes.
handle business when somebody starts lipping, and oh yeah, I can only imagine. So, so standing across the octagon or the ring from somebody was like, "Whew, this is easy now."
Nothing, yes, that became nothing. Yes.
Do you?
Especially, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to get your thoughts very quickly because I know that you talked about fights backstage would happen during Pride. And I always wondered, like, were these fights one-on-one, or was there ever like gym versus gym, get out of hand, like gigantic rumbles going on back there? Or for the most part, was it just a couple of guys with beef?
Um, there was a couple guys with beef, but that happening here, and it was happening outside when we finished. The worst guys for fighting, or that would get fighting with each other, or that would scream at people like a pit bull, would have been the late great Kevin Randleman and Vanderlei Silva. You had to walk on eggshells around them because they were just automatically snap. Anything, you name it, this automatically like that. They turn into a pit bull in a second.
That's crazy. I mean, I can definitely see it from Vanderlei. He was Pride had a way of putting together cards with human beings that you were like, what depths and dark corners did we find these savages to fight? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Did you enjoy MMA or no holds barred fighting more or less than your time in K1?
I enjoyed NHB.
Yeah.
That was before they stuck all the rules in it. I enjoyed NHB. K1, really, you know what I really liked? I really like getting paid. So if you paid me money, I like doing what you're doing.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Now it did go to a little bit of an extreme because at one time you did fight down, like I said earlier, you fought down in Vale Tudo.
Yes.
And I'd be remiss if I did not ask, because I used the euphemism about it being nuts down there. The stories about what in your right mind, Gary, because I'm not going to say the sure thing. You already gave me shit for that. What in your right mind, Gary, said to you, you know what? I'm going to go fight in Vale Tudo, and I'm looking over the rule book and what's allowed and how I can fight down there. And it says groin shots are okay. And you said to yourself, oh, that's cool. I'm in.
Yeah. I was talking to Sergio called me in the middle of the night, asked me, was Sergio Battarelli, was his tournament. He called me personally and asked me if I would fight. I said, yeah. I said, what are the rules? He said, there are no rules. At first I got a little worried. There's no rules, and I'm going to a different country. I don't know anyone. Who am I taking with me? All those things came rush at me. But he said there was no rules. Okay, no problem. He says NHB, full NHB, no rules. Okay, I'm coming. So I was thinking, when I got down there, he explained it more. He says, there's no rules, but if you poke somebody in the eye or you try to poke somebody, they're going to take your eyeball out. If you bite somebody, they're going to bite you, which I would do. If somebody's biting me, I'd bite them too. If somebody's going for my eyes, I'd try to pluck theirs out as well. So that's what was happening. And I bought into that. And the next thing you know, I'm down in Brazil fighting.
Not just fighting. There's an infamous story, if you will, please.
It's true.
About a lot, not just an accidental, but a lot of groin play in this fight.
Yes.
What happened?
If you can remember back to one of the early UFCs, there was a guy, Joe-san. Joe-san was fighting acne, and he just kept on crushing his nuts, but with an oversized jock, so he couldn't hit anything anyways. Because no way he was stuffed that big.
Right?
Anyways, I couldn't beat this guy, and the fight kept on going and going and going. I couldn't beat this guy. I couldn't get a good shot off. Like he knew how to fight. I didn't know how to fight. And And then he got on top of me, and I'm pushing and pulling him backward by his underwears. He go down, so I put my foot in his underwears and pushed him back. When I wanted to break, when I wanted to hit him, I'd let my knees up, and he'd come in closer. I can hit him, and when he stood up to hit me, I pushed him back. And as we're doing this back and forth, my foot slips out the back of his drawers. And when my foot slips out, I'm like, oh shit! Oh, you know what? I gotta crush his nuts or break them off, or I gotta do something. This fight's gotta end. So either I'm gonna slip the jock half on his penis and half on his nuts or whatever, and I smack, and it'd break and it'd cut his dick in half or pull off his nuts, right? So this is what it was in my head. I gotta push his jock to the side somehow, get it to the side. When we get up, just drive his nuts, his groin as hard as I could, and it'd be done. So my feet are down there trying to work it out, trying to work where I want that jock, and then he jumps up. Not yet. So then they stand us up, and as we stand us up, the thing is still in my head. I got to put his jock to the side. I didn't even, my brain was on this jock. Get it to the side, and so I can smack him and win this game. So I'm pushing it to the side. We stand up, and I get up, and I still trying. My mind is still trying to push to the side. And he grabs his nuts. He did, and he dropped on the floor like he's gonna carry on and do something. And Sergio came by and said, "Keep going, because there's no rules in the damn thing." And we keep going, and he falls down, and I hit him a couple times, and it's done. But yeah, that's it. Hey man, there was no rules.
And that's see, the game has changed a lot now. And there is a lot of rules. And I mean, we all understand why. There's a lot more money involved and whatnot, right? But there is a new sport. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because it kind of harkens back to those old days a little bit. Can you give me some of your thoughts if you've watched, or your thoughts on bare knuckle fighting and its emergence and how famous it's gotten lately?
Oh man, it's getting famous. As a matter of fact, I have a group up here and this side of the 42nd that want to start it up. That's trying to get going. Yeah, bare knuckle is growing, man, because there's less injuries that can happen in bare knuckle. What's the worst thing can happen in bare knuckle? You're gonna get cut. Yeah. It looks terrible, but what's the worst can happen? You're gonna cut or you lose a tooth. But really, it's safer than what we're doing, because when you have gloves on, it makes a thud, rather than when you have no gloves on. You can't hit as hard because your mind is telling you if you hit hard, you're gonna break your hand. Right. So therefore, you want to hit hard. You can't hit hard because you crack somebody on the head or even on the jaw, you can lose. You can smash your hand. So and that's your career. So they're not.
So you talk about end of the career though, and I want to get this in real quick. So then, what are your thoughts on Mike Tyson still trying to box?
My career was done when I was 40. Tyson and I are the exact same age. I think he's just doing something because the money's there. When somebody, I think at that age, man, could you imagine the back taxes he has to pay? That's what really broke me at the end of it. At the end of my career, you forget. Well, the last year I was trying to catch back up, and it was way too little. Because as you're finishing your career, nobody wants to pay you that much. You can't get the fights you want to get, and you got this big bill coming in, your taxes, because you haven't paid it for a couple of years, because you didn't pay it for a couple of years, and your accountant didn't tell you, or whatever. Maybe the accountant told you, and you just fluffed it off. But this is what gets fighters caught up at the end of everything. You didn't pay your taxes. And everybody knows how much you made. Everyone knows how much you made, but you didn't pay your taxes. So at the end of it, when you have to pay out, I think it was like just over 100,000 I had to pay. And that was in the day when we were getting $10,000 a fight.
Right.
You know, when I had to pay out that kind of money, it was a huge thing for me. No, I think it was 300. I think it was 300,000 I had to pay out. And of course, you're not making that kind of money, but you got to pay out all at the end because you got to get rack up these last 3 years. So that's where most fighters go broke. If you bought a house, if you did this, you got to sell this shit because you got to pay it. And that tax bill ain't going anywhere. And not only that, it increases money every month.
Yeah.
And the bigger the pot is, the bigger the increases. So it was horrible. That's what gets most fighters at the end of the career.
Wow. It's unbelievable. You spend all of that time, doing what you're best at in life, right?
Yeah.
Because not everybody can be a doctor, not everybody can be an electrician, but everybody's good at something. And smashing people's skulls in is what you were good at. There's no doubt about that, right?
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. Now, let me ask you, because Aaron Weiss Comics, right, ran a campaign, anti-bullying campaign, where you were the superhero that you were. How important to you was this campaign that you did and that whole anti-bullying movement for you?
Well, here's the thing. The thing was, like everybody, unless you're Mr. Popular in school, you're being bullied. And I was never Mr. Popular, so I was bullied all the time. And I lived with 5 sisters in the house, so I was the only guy. So of course you get a sissy name, and that carries you right through high school. What I'm doing the bullying from with Aaron, man, I really enjoyed working with kids that are going through problems. It's fun because you remember, they talk about stuff and you remember. Well, I remember the things that I had to go through and the mountains I had to climb when I was a child, and that was good. I loved it. I loved doing those things. So I was more than happy to go down and talk to kids and just correspond with them on what is and what it's not.
Amazing. Gary, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy life, to grace us 2 idiots with, some knowledge and some stories. I know that you've got a new website out, BigDaddyGG.com. And as I'm sure that has all of the information for you. I know that you have a new shirt. We saw the spot at the beginning of this, and we're going to play it again and again and again and again and get it out there as much as possible. What was the whole purpose behind all of this, and how's it going with the shirt? Tell us a little bit about it, if you don't mind.
We just started out with that, and actually we're getting a good amount of people on board that are one of the best. We have a good crucifix shirt. We have another one. We have hats, scarves, headgear, this, that, the other. We're doing pretty good. I'm impressed with my management team that are doing things. Aaron's part of our management team as well too, doing great. These guys are doing great work, and I'm looking forward to things growing. We've been to went to Jackson Gym, Quentin Jackson's place. You guys know all this. It was fun.
We're big fans, Gary, as you can tell.
I'm sorry.
We're huge fans, man, as you can tell. Like I can't thank you enough for blessing us with this sit down. Like we want to do it again. I want to pick your brain for hours and hours if possible, but we'll try and keep it in 15-minute segments.
Yeah, no problem. We had fun. We're just earning money and moving ahead, moving forward, letting everyone know the story. There's lots that I got to say. There's lots that has to go on, and we're doing it. Enjoying it.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad to see it's that smile. It's that damn smile. You can't be that tough, sir, if you have a smile that is so big.
You said sir again.
That's right. And you know what? I'm going to wrap it up at that. Before he gets a chance to jump through this screen and smash my skull in, I'm going to say thank you very much.
No problem. You're more welcome. You're more welcome, guys. Anytime.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Gary Goodridge. Please go to the website, BigDaddyGG.com. Get yourself a shirt. I know that he's running a promo. We're going to run this thing one more time for you. Please, Gary, sit tight there for 1 second so we can say goodbye. To everybody else, I want to thank you so much. Go, please, like, subscribe, all of that other kind of fun stuff. We are the law. He's Bradie, I'm Chris.
If you like that video and you want to see some other stuff, check out our catalog here on YouTube, or you can find us on any podcast provider anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Only 100 of these shirts are going to be made. They're all going to be signed by me. The first 25 will get a personalized video.
SportCars.com, the best in Canada. NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, Pokemon, UFC, WWE. TotalSportCars.com, the hobby's best friends. That's TotalSportCars.com.
RockSolidFanClub.ca gives you full access to Canada's leader in professional wrestling, featuring legends like Mick Foley, modern megastars such as Cody Deaner, and future sensations like Tyler Turva. RockSolidFanClub.ca offers exclusive series, podcasts, live streams, specials, and full events, all for less than $9 a month. Sign up today at RockSolidFanClub.ca, where real fans get it.